Welcome to the Canarian International Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Mossy and I am an alcoholic.
And my name is Mick and I'm also serving as a secretary today. Please join us for a moment's silence to remember the still suffering alcoholic both inside and outside this meeting.
Roseanne would love to do the preamble. Go right ahead. Will I do the original? No, well, I don't have the original. My name is Roseanne and I am an alcoholic. The original version of the current preamble as it was first introduced to AA in June 1947, Grapevine. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. AA has no dues or fees. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Thank you for allowing me to be of service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roseanne. Read like a true professional. Right. The chat is now disabled until the end of the meeting, except for the meeting host. If the meeting security is at risk at any time during the meeting, please private message one of the co-hosts so we can check that out. And that's it, guys. We have a very simple start here at this meeting. Matthew, you're going to be co-hosted there. Our speaker today is flown in a huge expense to Mick the Ferret, all the way from Maui in Hawaii. And Wally, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Everybody's been looking for you for years, but I knew where you were all along. You have 45 minutes. We won't even stop you if you want any longer. But thanks a million for joining us this evening. And there you go. Take it away, Ollie. Wally.
You're unmuted.
All right, here we go, folks. My name is Wally and I'm an alcoholic. I guess I should state my sobriety date. This time around is September the 20th, 1985. And I got sober in Fontana, California when I finally surrendered. That day of surrender was actually down in Los Angeles. But anyway, I like being at this meeting because there's old guys like me here. I love it when I go to meetings and I'm not the oldest guy there because it seems to happen quite a bit now. I mean, 81 isn't that old, is it? So anyhow, I'm glad to be here. Glad I found this meeting. I found this meeting through Kelly. And, you know, the last 30 days, I have been on Oahu for 26 days. I left for a week and then I found out, and then I forgot about Kelly's birthday. So that's a special day. So I flew back over and Hannah here always puts me up at her place. And what a treat it is to have friends in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, it says in our literature that a fellowship will grow up about us. And we have no clue about what that has to say or what it means. Wow, a fellowship. Is that going to mean I'm going to be sponsoring a lot of people or I'm going to have a lot of friends? And as most of us know, it takes time to find all that stuff, you know. Because if you're anything like me, I really didn't want to drink anymore, but I still felt like it was the punishment. I can't drink anymore. That was utmost in my brain. And well, I got to tell you, I am a drunk driver. I'm a lawbreaker. Selfishness, self-centeredness in the extreme fits me to a T. It was my problem when I got here to Alcoholics Anonymous, and it is still my problem today. But I was born on the island of Oahu in 1943, And we moved to, when I was 6 years old, we moved to Anchorage, Alaska. Now, how the heck does people go from one extreme to another? Well, my father went on a bender. We all know what a bender is, right? My dad went on a toot and we ended up in Anchorage, Alaska. And as a 6-year-old, in my mind, he was taking me away from where I belonged. The people were different, the weather was different, all that stuff. This is a 6-year-old mind, right? And so for many, many years, I blamed my father for taking us away from Hawaii. And my father actually put the plug in the jug when we did that. He walked in a place called the Church of the Open Door in Anchorage, Alaska, and became born again Christian. And he put the plug in the jug and put the cigarettes down on the nightstand, and he quit. And the way he did that was through the program of that particular church. I think it was non-denominational, but he stayed sober for a long, long time. Not even wanting to drink, I don't think. I think the obsession was removed. If he did have an obsession, he was a periodic drinker and or periodic drunk. And some of the stories that my mom used to tell me about how ornery he was. And I'm just like my father. I am just like my father. I'm dark skinned, but I look just like, the older I get, I look at those pictures of my dad when he was in his 70s. I, holy smokes, I'm looking just like my dad. But you know what? I found out it's not too bad looking like my dad. things are going pretty good at 80. So anyway, we moved. My dad got drunk in Anchorage, Alaska. I don't really know, but we moved pretty shortly after that to Southern California. And in my mind, I'm thinking he was too embarrassed to face those people in the church. You know how we are, right? And we ended up in Southern California. So that's pretty much where I was raised. I was an athlete in school, and you get a lot of attention. You get a lot of special attention. They used to, I remember I had a geometry class in the 10th grade, and the teacher used to come and put the sports page of the Los Angeles Times on my on my desk in the morning. Was my home group. And it was just telling me I didn't have to do the work. You know what I mean? Did not have to do the work. So I was kind of used to not doing the work, kind of faking it till you make it, and think you know what you're talking about, thinking you know what words are and what they mean, and you don't. That was me. But I didn't do well in school. I'm a recess guy. I majored in recess till I was 39 years old, and it got me in a lot of trouble. But at the age of 20, let's go back to age 17. I went with a girl in high school. Her name was Sharon Griffith, and her mother was from Tennessee, Hohenwald, Tennessee, and she was prejudiced. She didn't like dark-skinned guys, and my sweet Sharon was the kind of daughter that you would like to have. One that listens to you, and you tell them what to do. You don't want them running around with that guy, and they do it. Well, that's what my Sharon did. Was she broke up with me, and I was all in, and it just broke my heart. I remember going home and crying, being on the bottom bunk in a bedroom of 4 boys, and nobody else was there. And my mother just gathered me in and gently rubbed me and told me everything was going to be okay. My mother could do that. She could just calm me right down. And so I went on to marry someone else at the age. In fact, I got married on my 20th birthday, and her name was also Sharon. And we had 2 children. The first one, I was there. The second one, I wasn't when he was born. I was to do that one more time with the next wife. Selfishness and self-centeredness. I was not there when he was born. And my daughter from another marriage, I was not there. In fact, that one I was in over 1,000 miles away from home doing stuff that I was illegal stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. But I that lasted. In fact, I didn't even realize how long or when I had gotten a divorce. You know, all that stuff is so. I don't know about for you guys, but those dates are foggy for me. I don't know where I was most of my life till I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. I have bits and pieces that I remember, and a lot of times I don't remember them as they really are. You know, some of those memories have been stretched, you know. Somebody said at a convention the other day, while I was a weaver of tales. So anyway, that marriage ended when my son was only, I think, 10 months old. The one that we are going to see today and have lunch with. Kelly and Hannah and I are going to my son's house. He was adopted. He does not have my name. He calls me Wally because I'm not his dad. I'm not the one that raised him. And, you know, they talk about paying the price for the wreckage of your past. That hurts, you know. Problems of our own making, it says in our literature, you know, and we do a lot of that. Not so much today as it was in yesterday's, but, you know, that wife divorced me and I ran away from her and those kids and ended up in Florida after a while. And of course, took another hostage, right? Somebody that was willing to take care of me, you know, that needed somebody to fix. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be that a lot of women like to fix guys like me, you know. I'll get him to love me the way that he should. Anyhow, that one lasted that one lasted about 9 years, I think. And then that one faded away. And I was back in California at the time with her, and she left. And such mean things I used to say. You know, I can remember I can remember this, her saying, "Wally, just tell me you love me. Okay, that's all. Just tell me you love me." And in my drunkenness, in my meanness, I said, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass." No, most people that know me, like Kelly and Hannah, I'm not that guy anymore. You know, I am not that guy. I know how to treat women today. I know how to treat men today. I know how to take direction. I know how to be a part of. But in the day, no, it was not that way. And so I'm done with number 2. And I think it's one day later, I'm trying to hook up with the love of my life, the high school girl. And I had tried to over the years, even while I was married, and I never could. And nobody would give me the number. So I'm drunk enough to try this little adventure. So I get on the telephone because I can remember, you know, I'm what, I was 37 years old, something like that. And I could remember her phone number from when we were kids, you know, when they used to have prefixes. It was Topaz 99975. And I got on that telephone and I said, her mom answered the telephone and I said, "Is this the Griffith residence that Sharon Height or Sharon Griffith lived at?" and was a girls' league president and student body treasurer and all that stuff. She says, "Oh yes, that's my Sharon." I could just see her beaming at the other end. You know, I said, "Well, I'm from the reunion committee at Warren High School, and we're having our reunion, and we would like to have Sharon be part of the committee to put this thing together because she was so good at doing things like that." And of course, she bit. And I said, "Do you possibly have her phone number so we can get a hold of her?" So that's how this last marriage had started. And so we got together in 1980, and she passed in July of last year on the 7th at 6:48 p.m. And that was quite a jolt. In fact, my sister passed about 6 weeks after that. So, you know, we don't get drunk over big stuff. You know, it doesn't happen. You know, when you get drunk, when people hurt our feelings, you know, them simple little things. It's expressed a lot of it, making you think along those lines about. They say, yeah, we get drunk when we break our shoelaces. You know, that's how important it is, the stuff that we get drunk over. And it says resentment's the #1 offender. But we got together in 1980. We got married April 24th, 1984. That was it. I was sober a year. And anyway, I finally got to Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm a drunk driver. I don't know about you guys. I had 7 of them in 3 or 4 different states. And I just didn't want to stop drinking. You know, they would find me the fine and they would send me to AA. So I wouldn't go to AA because why would you go to AA if you didn't want to stop drinking anyway? So I didn't want to stop drinking, so I didn't go to AA. So finally, I think it was 80 or 81, I got a drunk driving in Needles, California. And there was a judge there that when I went up in front of him, my girlfriend at the time was Sharon, standing back there, not standing, but sitting in the gallery in the courthouse. And for some reason, he recognized that she was with me. And you know, I got up in front of the judge. You know, it costs big bucks for lawyers to talk. You know, hell, I had been hiring lawyers for a long time. You know, to go to court. So I decided I'm just going to say the same thing that they do. You know, I got up there and I said, "Your Honor, I realize I really have a problem with alcohol. I think if I could just get to that A&A, I think I'd maybe be okay." And then, and the judge, now I'm facing the judge and he's talking to my girlfriend that's back there in the gallery. And he says, "Ma'am, do you belong to him?" And yeah. She said, "Do you think he's serious about this?" And you know, she loves me, right? She says, "Oh, yes, Your Honor. I think so." And of course, that wasn't to be the case. As soon as we left there, bought a 6-pack to make the drive home, which was 200 miles. So I had to stop twice. Anyhow, the terms of probation, he put me on probation. And the terms of my probation said that I was to attend meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous until I was cured. He either knew a whole lot about AA or he knew nothing at all. I think he knew a whole lot about AA myself. And I didn't go for a little while. But the day finally came. It was going to be Sharon's birthday on the 25th of January, and the 24th, I started my last debauch that got me to Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't come home from work Thursday night, and then I slept at the branch and started out on my route the next morning. Left there about 5:30 in the morning, and Of course, at 6 o'clock you could get a drink, and I had called on my first account and then went next door and got me a shooter and a Budweiser, and I was feeling good again, that little bit of trembling that was starting, just settles right down. I have no choice at this point. There's a lot of us that, can quit drinking and don't shake. And then there are those of us that have drank way too much, way too long, that when that alcohol is not in our system, that the body's used to it, that we go into tremens. And you think about having a choice to drink or not. And I gotta tell you, my choice is, I'm looking at, am I going to shake or am I going to drink? Well, of course I'm going to drink. I don't want to have the shakes. And you do that, and then sometimes you say, hey, maybe I should cut. I have never said I wanted to stop drinking. I would say to myself, maybe I ought to cut down a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't shoot pool when I'm at the bar. Maybe that's what it is that pool shooting. It's making me stay till 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't shoot pool one night, and I'm sitting there at the bar at 2 o'clock when they're saying last call, and I don't want to go home, really. I want to keep drinking. But, the day finally came for me. But I was, it was Sharon's birthday. So on the 24th, I got drunk, didn't come home. They found me in the vehicle down in Los Angeles. I was drinking in a place called the Tender Trap. What an appropriate name. Anyway, they walked in, and my branch manager was my best friend, Jay. And he said, Wally, you just really screwed up, man. He said, we thought you got killed or something because I hadn't missed a day of work. It's the first job I ever had in my life when I hadn't missed a day of work, And the reason why was because I was booking the horses, running football cards, selling fireworks during the 4th of July. I was making more money on the side than I was at the job. So that's why I showed up every day, selfish and self-centered again, wanting more than my share. And Jay says, look, Wally, I think I can fix this. Just going back. And I said, no, I'm on one. And he says, you're on one. What does that mean? I says, I'm going to drink till I can't drink anymore. That's all. It's just the way it is. He says, there's something wrong with you, Wally. And they left. And when he went back to the branch, he called my girlfriend at the time, Sharon, and told her where I was. I was downtown in LA on Alvarado Street between 8th and 9th, a couple of blocks away from MacArthur Park. Pretty bad area, really, of Los Angeles. And she told her where I was, and so she called. And what had happened that I had thrown this job away an hour earlier, and what happened between then and when my wife called, when Sharon called, something got into my head. I can't describe it as a voice because it wasn't a voice. It was a thought thing that got into my head that said to me, Wally, you can no longer drink. And it was the first time in my life that I believed that. People had told me that for years. You screw up all the time when you drink, Wally. You're a nice guy when you don't drink, yada, yada, all that stuff. Oh, you have so much potential. And let me tell you, they weren't saying I had so much potential when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. So anyway, she called, and the bartender says, it's for you, Wally. And I don't usually answer when somebody's looking for me. And I took the phone, and she asked me if I would come home. And I said, yes, I would, just like that. And that was the day that my Creator entered into my mind and my heart in a way that is indeed miraculous. it happened. So I shook it out for 3 or 4 days, and I can remember I was going to go to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous finally, and I remember looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh, I can go tonight. I'm not shaking on the outside, just the insides. You know, when you get rid of the shakes, and then but you still get those quivers every once in a while. They start at your toes and they go all the way to the top of your head, man, and you get goosebumps or chicken skin, like we say in Hawaii." And you just kind of get a little quiver like that. Wow, I'm making myself do that right now. But you know, if you don't know what a higher power is, when you get chicken skin, guess what? You're not in control of that, man. So there is a higher power. There is somebody that's in that can have control of you, and instead of all these other drunks that influence your life and say that it's okay to live this way. So I shook for a few days, and I finally got to my first meeting, and I went back the next week to that same meeting. And and I found out they have more than one meeting a week of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I started going to meetings. I'm not working. I got fired from the job, obviously. And I started going to meetings. And I went to meetings just like I drank. I went to 21 meetings a week. I did that for about 10 months. I heard people say that you should find a sponsor. And you needed to find God. I had already found God. It was like I felt like the first 3 steps were done before I even got to Alcoholics Anonymous. I had given up, and I knew that there was possibly hope here, because my uncle, which was the worst drunk I ever saw in my life, man, got sober in Alcoholics Anonymous with Joe and Charlie, as a matter of fact, back in Arkansas. That's the other half of me. My mother's a sweet little Hawaiian lady, and my father's a redneck truck driver from Bedville, Arkansas. So I don't know if I was destined to be an alcoholic, but I was destined to be barefoot. That's for damn sure. And so I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm looking around, and I'm listening to stuff, and I hear people say, you know, you need to get a sponsor. You need to find somebody that you can relate to, you know. And I'm thinking, what, all the stuff that I did? And then shortly after that, a few days later, somebody else was talking about it, and they were saying relate to a person that has changed from what they used to be to this new way of life. And thought, wow, okay. So I'm looking at people, and of course, people are offering to be my sponsor, you know, and I said no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you, many times. And I seen this guy, Dick Guterman. He's a little short guy, and I liked what he had, and I noticed that he was sponsoring a few guys, and so I asked him to be my sponsor. I asked Dick to be my sponsor. He said it would be a privilege. He says, "Are you willing to go to any lengths, Wally?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, there's some requirements I'm going to ask you to do. First of all, I want you to call me every day for the next 30 days at 10 a.m. in the morning, and I want you to go to a few meetings. I want you to go to a step study meeting. I want you to go to a big book study meeting. I want you to go to a men's stag meeting. And I also want you to go to a speaker meeting. And you can fill in the rest with whatever meetings you want to go to." And so I said, okay. And so, and Dick says, you know, we're going to recover today. There ain't none of this. You don't have a job, you know, so you got plenty of time to do this thing. And I got to tell you, I fell asleep with that big book on my chest every single night. I'm a recess guy, remember? I don't want to learn anything, man. I just want to have fun. I just want to play. I just want to have a good time. So I'll be damned if I didn't start reading that book and reading it and reading and reading. And there was absolutely no denial in me looking at those pages, seeing me. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of your problem, Wally. I recognize that. I mean, Yeah, it was me. Your problems are basically of your own making, you know. So many of those little phrases or sentences that we would see. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. We were bodily and mentally different from our fellows, all that stuff. And so I started going to meetings, and Dick took me under his wing and took me to a lot of those meetings. One was in Pomona, which was about 20 miles away. One was in Chino, was 25 miles away. And I went with him and his wife to those meetings, and of course, all these other meetings. And I'm reading the book and going to step study meetings, and I get through with my steps in about 4 months. And Dick cuts me loose at step 11. He says, "Okay, buddy, I want you to go out there and start carrying the message." And I said, "How can I carry the message? You haven't taken me through step 12. And he looked me right square in the eye and he says, "Have I just not shown you how we do step 12? We've been studying at the step study meetings, at the big book meetings. Does it not tell us what to do? Is that not what I just did with you?" I said, "Well, yeah." He says, "Well, then we're done. You're ready. You're ready. If you have what you have done right to this point, Wally, a fellowship is going to grow up about you, and you won't understand a whole lot of this stuff, you know, but it's going to happen." So I start sponsoring guys, and I'm real active. You know how newcomers are when they're on fire. They take way too much on, and there's secretary over here, and there's secretary over here in the same week. And then they become a intergroup rep, and then they don't have a GSR. It's that's the way we are. That's the way we drank, all or nothing. So some of this stuff catches up with us, and Dick, would slow me down. And I was sober about 2.5 years and doing the deal, and I met this. I had gone up to some of those meetings up at the club. All my meetings weren't away from the club. The church meetings, as a rule, were a lot better quality meetings. And anyway, I would be at the club and even at the other meetings, and I can remember saying to myself, because what happens is you get to know people. When I was drinking, I didn't really know anybody. You just drank with them, right? You didn't know nothing about their lives or what kind of person they really were, unless they got pissed off at the bar and fought a lot. But you don't really know them. And man, I found out when I got sober and I started getting close to people and knowing them and seeing how they acted and how they reacted. Man, I wasn't liking everybody. I said, "Wow, these people they're screwed up like me, right?" But I can remember my best friend, man. He was screwing around with some guy's wife, and he just talked that good AA when he'd be in those meetings. That doesn't have anything to be keeping the plug in the jug, Wally. You got to enjoy your life. If they would talk stuff like that. And pretty soon it just was getting to me. I was so resentful towards a lot of the people in Alcoholics Anonymous. And one day I said, "Well, hey, these guys, I know they ain't praying every day. They aren't meditating every morning like I would do my 5 minutes every morning. They're not praying. Maybe I'm one of them guys that don't have to do that stuff." So I quit doing it. I got drunk too. It took me about 2.5 months of not praying and reviewing my day and doing lip service in Alcoholics Anonymous, like we hear from a lot of people, which is their business, not mine. I know that today, but I let it get to me and got irritated. And it says in our literature that the day will come when there will be no defense against that first drink. It will come. Your sobriety is dependent on the maintenance of your spiritual condition. maintenance. You have to maintain, you have to change your oil when it's time, you know. You have to take your pills when it's time. So you better get to AA and eat the whole enchilada every day if you really want to have a good life. And you know, we're just sick when we get here, you know. We think we're getting better, and as I said, I got drunk. Resentment's the number one offender, and that's how I got drunk. I came home from work one night and my wife said something to me and I just exploded. And I was a guy that kept booze in the house to fix drinks for my relatives when they would come over. And that's not really possible, you know, for a guy like me. But I thought I could do that. Anyway, when I was pissed off, I got pissed off at my wife. That's not what it was all about. It was all about, I kind of blamed her for it, right? But it wasn't about her. It was about this other stuff, about my resentment. So I drank. And I even went in and I poured a tumbler full of VO. I took two big gulps, and I went out to the garage, and I was leaning up against my son. He had a Malibu. My son had a Malibu Chevy, and I took, you know, those two big gulps, and all of a sudden now I realize what I have done, right? And you know, you can feel that rush of that alcohol. I hadn't had a drink for 2 years, 8 months, and 22 days is what it worked out to. So when that stuff started hitting me, it was like, ugh, you know. And however, the brain turned on, right? And what did the brain said? The brain said resentment is the number one offender, Wally. The brain said the grouch and the brainstorm were not for us, Wally. The brain said anger is the dubious luxury of normal men, Wally. The brain said you are bodily and mentally different than your fellows, Wally. So I finished the drink, went in, poured another one, went in and took a shower. And now I'm going to go out and go drinking, right? And what happened was I went to a bar where there was a lot of beautiful women in there, man. And I thought, you know, I screw up when I'm around pretty women. And I said, I better get my ass out of here. I know where I belong. It was down at the local steelworkers bar. I'd been in a few fights down there. I knew I belonged in there. So I went down there and I sat down in the seat next to this guy and he said, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" And I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna have to listen to this guy talk, man. So he buys me a drink and and he starts talking to me, right? And he says, "You know, buddy," he says, "I'm not one of them guys who usually is out here on Saturday night drinking in a bar." He says, "But I got one of them women that just drives you to drink." Oh, what was I doing in there? Did I not get ticked off at my wife and let her? And I thought that's what was pushed me over the edge. Here I am sitting next to this guy and he's telling me this story. And I remember I shot down the shooter and I kind of slammed it down on the bar and I looked at that guy and I said, "You ain't nothing but a damn drunk, just like me." And I got up and I left and I went home. And it's like God took that guy out of his house and brought him to that bar and sat him right next to me to let me know who I think I am, you know, that I can drink when I get pissed off. I can't. I can't drink, period. I know that. I did not drink because I thought I could drink. I got drunk out of anger, you know, and I have later found out that I can become intoxicated on almost anything. I can become intoxicated on anger, on fear, all these things that we talk about that are instincts that are God-given and we misuse, you know. Doesn't happen until that self-centeredness starts inside of us. So I went home Next morning, I was the talk of the town. Hey, that guy Wally that goes to all those meetings, he got drunk, man. And I remember Dan Wozniak came over to my house, and we were talking, and I was just unloading because I was angry, you know. And I don't know where it came from. Well, I do know where it came from. It came from a power greater than myself. I said to Dan, I said, I don't think I want to go all the way down the tubes again. Let's go up to the Sunday meeting. A lot of people call that their church meeting. It was 11 o'clock at the Fontanellano Club. And I walked in there, and the guy leading the meeting was 14-foot Jimmy that was only 4'11". And he had tears in his eye. When I walked in, he started crying. Finding out that people really do love you. You hear them say it. But when they show it, wow, it gets to me. I always had those walls up, trying to be a badass. Don't mess with me, and I'm not that guy. That's not how my creator made me, He made me like I am today. But the only way that became possible was through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a phenomenon. It's unexplainable. It's all we have to do is let it happen. It says in our literature, it just comes. It just comes. And when you look back at it today, that's what happened. We let our higher power or our God come into our life. We let another human being guide us down a path that we'd never been down. They take all that time to spend with us, and they ask nothing for it. They just give us big hugs and say, keep coming back, Wally. I'm usually not like this. I'm very emotional today. I must be filled with the Spirit, huh, guys? I believe He's inside of me, and that's a message that I carry. And if this is a message, this is a group of people that have been around for a long, long time. And you guys have all experienced the same things that I have, and it's so hard to give up. And when you do, you come in here thinking it's the punishment, and you stay long enough and you find out this is the reward. This is what we get. This is a way we get to live, thinking of others first. My wife had a stroke in 15 and she passed last year in 24. And it changed a lot of our lifestyle for us. My wife had a 41-year chip in Al-Anon. You imagine somebody working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous that doesn't have a drinking problem? Huh? Could people like us have done that? I don't think so. If it weren't for those two wives of Bill and Bob, there would be no Alcoholics Anonymous. I believe that. So, all this being said, I want to end this with saying that, and this is what I always say, that I'm a satisfied customer, and I'll be back at a meeting tomorrow. You can bet your okoli on it. That is your rear end and hoin. But I am a satisfied customer, and thank you so much for asking me to share. Aloha.
Wally, that was absolutely fantastic. I'm really glad you shared for us today. And when I was getting sober, people done stuff for me and I didn't know why. Because I'm the worst scumbag you will ever meet in your life. And I felt unworthy. I was trying to figure out what was their angle, what were they looking for. And all Alcoholics Anonymous, when I gave this my best shot, all Alcoholics Anonymous wanted to do was to love me. And I've been shown such love and care and compassion, and I love this program. And I'm one of these guys, I get emotional all the time. Because the only emotion I could ever show was anger. And today I can show love, you know. I'm the last few weeks has been we've lost a few members, you know, that I was close to. And it's a fucking waste, to be quite honest with you. Because this program is so easy and so simple, and it just bypasses people. You don't pick up a drink, you go to a meeting, you do the best you can, you have the instruction manual, which is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You reach out and people will help you. They've done it for me. And I love this old timers meeting, I have to say that, because nearly every time we have a meeting, we have two dinosaurs on with us, you know. We have the young dinosaur Mick the Ferret at 49 years, and then we have Barney at 58 years. And it's a lovely thing. It's a lovely thing. I love being sober. And I'm sitting here and my daughter's sitting beside me. And that's a beautiful thing as well. It's I love to see people getting well. And I will be forever grateful for the people that came before me, that showed me the way, that threw the big book at me, that bullied me and told me. One guy walked up to me one day and he said, "You have nothing to add to any meeting that I go to. You need to sit down, shut up and listen. If I want to listen to the likes of you, I go down to the Harbour Bar." That's the way they spoke to me. But they promised me a life beyond my wildest dreams. You know, I could go on all night talking about the similarities in their stories. And that's what I come here for. And I come here, when I'm really listening to somebody, I get emotional always. And you reached into my heart, Wally. I'm really glad you joined our meeting. And next Saturday we have your sidekick Kelly there with you next week. I'm looking forward to her story as well. The week after that, we have another lady coming to join us. I can't think of her name. I wouldn't mind. I was talking to Kathleen about her. But she's 46 years sober. She got sober at 17. So never too young to get sober. And at that, talking about young people, we'll hand you over to the old dinosaur himself. Take it away, Mick.
Thanks kindly, Mossy, the old guy. I'm only 18. I've just had a hard life. Wally, fantastic. You know, I identified with lots of it, what you were sharing. You know, you said you're not the person you were when you came in, and I can agree with that with me. You know, I'm not the person that I was as a child, a liar, thief, and cheat. Today, I'm quite an honest. I'm saying quite an honest person. You know, and it's all through this fellowship. People like you, Wally, and who showed me what to do. You know, and I had my wife was Al-Anon for 40 years, a black belt as well. And then I got lucky, hey? And I lucky to be in Alcoholics Anonymous with a member that was Al-Anon, because our house was full of recovery. And I had a daughter who was Alateen, you know. Gifts I've had given me in this fellowship, you know, one day at a time. Just sticking around, keep coming back. And that's all I'm going to share. And I'm going to just say thank you very much, Wally.
Where's Mick? We lost Mick. Oh, well.
Yeah, coming back in.
Oh, he's coming back in. Hold on, we'll give him a chance. Where did you go to, Mick? You're supposed to be on duty.
I got kicked out.
If you got kicked out, you wouldn't get back in, I'll tell you that much.
Got kicked out like that. The Zoom cut off.
Oh, you're back anyways.
Yeah.
You want to ask it someone, or we'll wrap it up?
Wrap it up, shall we?
We'll wrap it up, so.
Right.
Go on, Mick.
We've come to the end of the sharing part of the meeting, and Peter M. Peter M's going to do the promises.
Promises. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the world serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
Thanks, Peter. And thanks everyone that done service. Kathleen for timekeeping, and the readers. And thanks everyone that joined us. And of course, thanks to Wally for joining us, and all the Hawaiian crew that joined us today. Magic. You're on the green, Mick, aren't you?
Yeah, right. A reminder, this meeting's on every Saturday at 6 UK. Also, we have a meeting with the same numbers that what you got on 7 days a week. We also have a lunchtime meeting every Sunday at 1 p.m. UK time. This is a step 11 meditation meeting, and on Thursday evenings we have a meeting at 7:30 UK time. We all use the same code for every meeting.
And stick around for fellowship after the meeting if you want to use a breakout room. We'll sort that out later on. And the yellow card, who you see here?
What you hear here?
When you leave here,
let it stay here.
There you go. No, Mick, you didn't do too bad today. But
no,
next time you go out, you just stay out, yeah. All right. And Wally, will you lead us out with the serenity prayer?
Sure. Moment of silence for still suffering. How about the Wii version? Can I do the Wii version? Can I do
have control there, whatever you want.
Okie dokie. I like it.
Like it.
God,
grant
us
serenity.
Prosperity.
Things we cannot change. Courage, we can.
And the wisdom to
know the difference. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming over today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wally.
Great share, Wally. Thank you.
Thanks, Wally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Brilliant.